Welcome. Welcome to the deep dive.
Oh,
Today, we're embarking on, well, an absolutely compelling journey.
it really is.
We're looking at some of the most pivotal moments described in ancient texts. Our source material for this deep dive, it comes from these really rich excerpts of Bible Stories Part 7.
Hmm.
And this is a collection, documents that span the intensely dramatic final hours of Jesus' life, then the foundational days of his early followers.
Right, the very beginning.
And then it casts a gaze far into the future with some pretty significant prophecies.
Yeah.
And it's important to remember, our deep dive today is specifically into the narrative and the interpretations presented within this particular source.
Exactly. That's our focus.
Our mission, as always, is to unpack these documents, try and extract the most important nuggets of knowledge, of insight, and explore the profound impacts of these events and teachings. Again, as presented right here, we're aiming to give you a shortcut, sort of, to being well-informed about a truly crucial period in biblical history.
Yeah, and hopefully with some fascinating insights along the way.
Exactly. Spark your curiosity.
And the scope within these sources it's vast, isn't it?
It really is.
We're going to navigate from these intensely personal moments, anguish, decision,
Right.
to these world-changing movements that really redefined how people understood faith, community. And then finally, we get to these prophecies that speak to, well, the very destiny of the planet itself.
Wow.
So it's a comprehensive journey of understanding ahead of us, and our focus throughout will be on connecting the dots, revealing the broader context of these powerful narratives as Bible Stories Part 7 outlines them.
Helping us grasp not just what happened.
Right, but why it continues to resonate so deeply for millions, according to this source.
Okay, let's begin our deep dive. We're starting in the Garden of Gethsemane. It's a place just laden with profound emotion, isn't it? A sense of impending destiny.
Absolutely.
The weight of it all. The scene is set right after what's known as the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Jesus and his apostles, they've come here to pray. And our source paints this really vivid picture of Jesus engaging in deep, earnest prayer. He's wrestling with the immense weight of what's coming.
Yeah, the source really conveys that struggle.
Yet despite his explicit requests, asking his closest companions, stay awake, support me through this.
Right, this agonizing period.
The apostles, well, maybe it was the late hour, emotional exhaustion, or just human frailty, right?
Yeah.
They struggle.
They just can't keep their eyes open.
The text describes them falling asleep not just once, but 3 times.
3 times, imagine that.
Imagine the solitude Jesus must have felt, facing his ultimate trial, and his closest friends are just succumbing to slumber. He even voices this isolation, saying, "How can you sleep at a time like this? The hour has come for me to be handed over to my enemies."
It's such a poignant moment. It really powerfully conveys that human weakness alongside, well, this divine resolve.
Yeah.
And that scene, it truly underscores a striking contrast. You have the apostles' repeated failures to stay awake, highlighting their very human limitations, their fears. It's kind of a stark mirror to our own struggles, maybe, with commitment when things get overwhelming.
True.
Meanwhile, you have Jesus' focused resolve in prayer. Despite his own evident anguish, other accounts mention sweating blood. He showcases this unwavering acceptance of his path, his predetermined path. And it's immediately after Jesus speaks those words that the quiet of the garden is just shattered.
Violently shattered.
The source describes the sudden arrival of a large crowd,
Yeah.
armed with swords and clubs, clearly a mob, intent on seizing him by force. And in this chilling act of, well, betrayal, the signal for Jesus' identification is delivered by Judas Iscariot himself.
With a kiss.
With a kiss, what should have been affection. And Jesus' question right then, "Judas, do you betray me with a kiss?"
Oof.
It just encapsulates the deliberate, premeditated, deeply intimate nature of this betrayal. It wasn't just convenient, it was calculated, personal deceit.
And what really grabs me in this chaotic moment is Peter's reaction.
Peter.
Immediate. Fiery. Always the impulsive one, right? He doesn't hesitate, draws a sword.
Yep, straight away.
And in this desperate, maybe misguided attempt to defend his master, he strikes out, cuts off the ear of a man nearby.
Just like that.
It's a sudden, violent act. Speaks volumes about his loyalty, sure, but also his very human tendency to resort to force under extreme stress.
It's a dramatic escalation, definitely. But it's Jesus' response that, well, it fundamentally redefines the moment.
Instantly.
He immediately heals the man's ear. A clear demonstration of his power, yes, but maybe more importantly, his unwavering commitment to his peaceful path. even when facing violent aggression.
Right.
And beyond that healing, he gives this profound instruction to Peter: return your sword to its place. Don't you think that I can ask my Father for thousands of angels to save me?
Thousands, yeah.
And this statement, as our source presents it, raises a really deep question, doesn't it?
It does.
What does Jesus' refusal to call on all those angels, despite the obvious power he had, the dire situation, what does that reveal about his acceptance of this path?
It's more than just accepting fate, isn't it?
I think so. It highlights this profound paradox within divine power. Jesus, with legions at his command, he consciously chooses vulnerability, chooses suffering.
Right.
This moment, as Bible Stories Part 7 depicts it, it challenges that purely human understanding of power as just dominance. It suggests instead that true divine authority can manifest, maybe most profoundly, through willing sacrifice, adherence to a greater purpose, even if it's inscrutable at first.
So for you listening, consider how this intense moment might challenge your own assumptions about power, loyalty, human weakness, and ultimately maybe a higher divine purpose unfolding just as planned. Okay, so after this dramatic betrayal, this moment in the garden, Jesus is taken away by the crowd, bound for judgment. Our source tells us his apostles, well, understandably terrified by the sudden turn of events, the overwhelming force, they scatter. They run away in fear.
Panic sets in.
But two figures, Peter and John, show maybe a glimmer of courage. They follow from a distance.
Right, a mix of fear and loyalty, perhaps.
Hoping to see what happens next.
Yeah.
And their cautious trailing leads us right into this complex and, frankly, unjust sequence of trials.
Their path takes them first to the residence of Annas. He'd been a high priest before, then quickly on to Caiaphas, the acting high priest. And at Caiaphas's house, many other religious leaders gather quickly, forming this impromptu, clearly biased court.
Yeah, it sounds predetermined.
The source explicitly says people are brought in to tell lies about Jesus.
Wow.
A chilling sign this wasn't about truth, but condemnation. Despite the lies, the false testimonies, the religious leaders reached this chilling, unanimous conclusion: Jesus should be put to death.
Just like that.
So this initial religious trial, marked by deceit, a predetermined outcome, it meticulously sets the stage for the next phase under Roman authority.
And while all this legal maneuvering and condemnation is happening inside, our attention shifts to Peter.
Oh, Peter again, outside.
Outside in the yard, trying to keep warm by a fire. And this is such a profoundly human moment. Stark frailty, profound regret. The source details 3 distinct instances where people identify him as being with Jesus. A servant girl first, then someone else, then a third time.
Right.
And each time, despite his earlier fervent declarations, "I'll never deny you, I'll die for you," Peter vehemently denies it.
He just caves under pressure.
After the third denial, the text movingly describes him turning away, weeping bitterly. The full weight of his failure, the shame, it just crashes down on him.
It's heartbreaking, really.
As you reflect on this scene, what resonates most profoundly about this moment of human weakness, this deep regret, it's a powerful illustration, isn't it, of how fear and external pressure can override even the strongest convictions sometimes.
Absolutely. And from this religious judgment, Jesus is then transitioned to Roman authority.
Right, because the priests couldn't carry out an execution themselves under Roman law.
Exactly. So they take Jesus to Pontius Pilate, the ruler of the district of Judea. And what's absolutely critical here, a point emphasized by our source, is Pilate's repeated assertion that he finds nothing wrong with Jesus, no crime worthy of death.
He says it multiple times.
He tries to wash his hands of it, basically.
Yeah.
Even sends Jesus to Herod Antipas, who rules Galilee and happens to be in town.
Right.
But Herod also finds no wrongdoing, sends him back to Pilate. So you have this consistent external validation of Jesus' innocence.
From the Roman perspective.
Exactly. Placing this in the bigger picture, this sequence of judgments by Roman authorities who are largely indifferent to the Jewish religious politics, it highlights this external validation. He's passed around ruler to ruler, and none find him guilty of a crime worthy of death by their legal standards.
And despite Pilate finding no wrongdoing, he's under immense political pressure.
Huge pressure from the crowd, the leaders.
He tries a compromise, appeals to the custom of releasing a prisoner during the Passover festival.
Right, the annual pardon.
He presents the crowd with a stark choice. Barabbas, a notorious robber, a rebel, or Jesus.
A stark choice indeed.
But the crowd, maybe instigated by the religious leaders, fueled by popular sentiment, they don't hesitate. Their powerful chant, our source describes it as fervent, resounding, "Take him away, kill him, kill him."
Chilling.
It seals Jesus' fate. Barabbas, the criminal, is released, and Jesus is handed over to be killed.
It's just a stark, tragic reminder, isn't it? How external pressures, mob mentality, popular sentiment can dramatically sway justice, even against clear evidence of innocence.
Which brings us to the crucifixion itself, a deeply harrowing culmination described in Bible Stories Part 7.
Yes. Jesus is nailed to a stake, the ancient method of execution. And notably, he's not alone. 2 criminals are executed alongside him.
Underscoring the severity of the punishment.
During this agonizing time, one of the criminals speaks up, a plea, really, a flash of recognition amidst all the suffering.
What does he say?
He says, "Remember me when you get into your kingdom."
Wow, even then.
And Jesus, even in his own profound suffering on the brink of death, responds directly with comforting assurance.
He promises him
"I promise you that you will be with me in paradise."
paradise. That promise, made in such dire circumstances, offers this powerful glimpse of hope, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Something beyond the immediate agony.
It really does.
Yeah.
And this promise of paradise to the criminal, it's powerful. But, that word paradise holds so many different images for people. Ethereal heaven, Garden of Eden.
Right, what does the source material actually say about it? How does it elaborate?
Well, the source itself provides a very specific clarification, which is quite interesting. It asks, where was the paradise that God made at the beginning?
Okay.
And then answers, yes, on earth.
On earth.
And then it explicitly states that when Jesus rules as king in heaven, he will bring this man back to life to enjoy the new paradise on earth.
So a restoration here.
Exactly. The description continues, painting this picture of a place where God's servants enjoy peace and happiness and where they will never get sick again or die.
That's a key detail.
It is. This particular detail is quite striking. The clear emphasis, as presented in Bible Stories Part 7, is on a restored earth, a physical paradise on this planet, not necessarily an exodus to some non-physical heavenly realm for humans.
That's quite different from some common ideas.
It is. This perspective, emphasized in our source, definitely challenges a common understanding of paradise. It's worth considering, for you listening, how this specific description resonates with or maybe challenges your own understandings of future hope.
Okay, so following his death, our sources meticulously detail Jesus' burial in a guarded tomb.
Right, the guarding is key here.
The religious leaders, they were deeply concerned, weren't they, about the possibility of his disciples stealing the body and claiming a resurrection.
They were desperate to prevent that narrative.
So they specifically instructed that the tomb be secured, guarded for 3 days, clearly anticipating that even just an empty tomb could ignite a powerful belief.
They wanted to control the story from the start.
And despite their meticulous precautions, on the 3rd day, something dramatic unfolds.
Truly dramatic. The source describes an angel of Jehovah, using that specific divine name, suddenly appearing.
An angel.
And this appearance causes a tremendous upheaval. The angel rolls the heavy stone away from the entrance.
Effortlessly, it seems.
An act so powerful that the soldiers guarding it are completely overwhelmed. They become like dead men, just paralyzed by fear.
Wow.
When they finally recover enough to look inside, the tomb is unequivocally empty.
Empty.
It's a scene of direct divine power, powerfully contrasting with those human attempts at control.
And a priest's reaction to this empty tomb, it's very telling, isn't it? Reveals a lot about their motive.
Oh, absolutely. Instead of investigating or even considering a supernatural event, they immediately resort to a cover-up, a cynical one.
What do they do?
They give a substantial sum of money to the soldiers and instruct them to spread a false story, a prefabricated counter-narrative.
Designed to discredit any talk of resurrection.
Exactly. They tell them, say that his disciples came in the night while we were asleep and stole the body.
While they were asleep. Convenient.
Right. It's a transparent attempt to control the narrative, suppress the truth, even facing what seems like an undeniable miracle. It shows their deep-seated fear of this new movement.
And this stands in stark contrast with the experience of the women, Jesus' friends, who visit the tomb later that morning.
A completely different encounter. They, too, find it empty. But instead of soldiers with a fabricated story,
They find angels.
they are met by 2 angels in bright clothing who pose this profound, liberating question: why are you looking for Jesus here? He has been raised up.
Wow. Direct.
And then they're given an urgent instruction: go quickly and tell his disciples.
Go tell everyone.
So this immediate creation of a false counter-narrative by the priests, as described in our source, it powerfully tells us about the immense perceived threat of the resurrection.
They knew it was dangerous to their power.
It seems so. It speaks to the immediate understanding among the authorities that this event, if true, would fundamentally challenge and dismantle their existing power structures. So as you reflect on these conflicting accounts, the empty tomb, the soldier's story, the angel's message, consider how they might shape your understanding of these events and the motives involved.
It really demands some critical thought, analyzing the source's narrative here.
Definitely. And the journey to understanding the resurrection continues with these really intense, personal, often surprising encounters. These solidify the disciples' belief.
Right. It wasn't just an empty tomb.
No. Our source describes Mary Magdalene returning to the tomb after Peter and John had left. Maybe she just couldn't stay away, consumed by grief. She's there alone, weeping, lost in sorrow, sees two angels inside the tomb, then turns, sees a man outside.
And she doesn't recognize him.
No, initially assumes, maybe through tears and grief, that he's the gardener.
Yep.
It's a deeply emotional, poignant moment that Bible Stories Part 7 captures so beautifully. Mary, blinded by tears and sorrow, doesn't recognize Jesus until he speaks her name.
Mary.
That single familiar sound just cuts through her grief. Immediate, joyful recognition. Her excited proclamation, "I've seen the Lord." And her immediate action running to tell the disciples. It highlights the intensely personal, transformative nature of this first appearance. It's not some grand public display, but an intimate, individual revelation to a grieving heart. Emphasizes his personal care.
Then we have that compelling story of the two other disciples.
On the road to Emmaus?
Yeah, walking to the village of Emmaus. They're completely unaware of Mary's encounter, still sad, confused about Jesus' death. Jesus joins them on the road, starts explaining things from the Bible, clarifying what happened, what it meant in light of prophecies.
But they don't recognize him.
No. It says their eyes were somehow prevented from seeing his true identity.
Vasquez.
It's only later, when they stop for a meal, and he does that familiar act of breaking bread with them,
Ah, the breaking of the bread.
that their eyes are open. They recognize him. It's Jesus.
Then
Then just as suddenly, Jesus disappears from their sight. And these two disciples, filled with this new hope, understanding, excitement, they don't waste a second.
they rush back.
They quickly go all the way back to Jerusalem, miles away, to tell the apostles about him. This sequence really emphasizes that gradual unfolding of recognition and belief.
And the appearances, as outlined in our source, they don't stop there.
No, there were more.
Bible Stories Part 7 mentions Jesus also appearing to Peter specifically, which is significant, right, given Peter's earlier denial.
A moment of reconciliation, maybe.
Perhaps. And then, quite dramatically, he appears to the apostles gathered in a locked room.
Right through the walls.
Appears right there, despite the physical barrier, demonstrating this new supernatural reality transcending physical limits. The source explicitly specifies Jesus appeared to his followers 5 different times over a period of 40 days before he finally ascended to heaven.
40 days.
These diverse encounters, each with its own unique emotional, revelatory texture, from individual to group, they really illustrate the various ways belief and understanding can unfold, deepening their conviction, preparing them for what was next.
Okay, this brings us to a pretty fundamental question about the physical reality of Jesus' resurrection, at least as presented in these sources.
Right. And what kind of body was it?
Did he return in the exact same physical body that he died in? Was it just, reanimation or something else entirely?
Well, our source, Bible Stories Part 7, gives a very specific theological perspective on this, and it's crucial for understanding its narrative.
Okay, what does it say?
It clarifies that God did not raise Jesus' body in the fleshly body in which he died.
Ah, okay, not the same body.
He gave Jesus a new spirit body, as the angels in heaven have. That's a crucial distinction. It emphasizes transformation, not just resuscitation.
A spirit body.
But, the source adds, despite being a spirit, he can take on a body that people can see.
Ah, so he could appear physically.
Exactly. Placing this in broader context, this explanation accounts for several key details described in the text. How he could appear and disappear suddenly.
Right, like on the road to Emmaus.
How he could enter a locked room without opening the door. And ultimately, how he could then ascend to heaven. It presents a resurrection that, according to the source, transcends our typical human understanding of physical existence. It emphasizes a new, supernatural form of being.
So it's a unique theological perspective on the resurrection's nature.
Definitely. It defines its very nature and sets it apart from just reanimation. It's worth considering how this specific interpretation impacts your understanding of the resurrection and its implications.
All right, so our sources move us forward now to a truly pivotal moment for Jesus' followers.
After his ascension.
Right. After he ascended into heaven, they were explicitly told to wait in Jerusalem, a period of anticipation, uncertainty.
Not fully knowing what was coming, but trusting his promise.
Exactly.
And this period of waiting culminates dramatically. At Pentecost, a major Israelite feast, the source describes a loud noise that suddenly fills the whole house where they're gathered, like a rushing strong wind.
Powerful sound.
Immediately after the sound, tongues of fire appear, resting over the head of each disciple.
Tongues of fire.
Wow, this is presented as the precise moment God poured out God's Holy Spirit on his followers, a spectacular, tangible manifestation of divine power that just changed everything.
And what happens immediately after this outpouring is truly astonishing. Reveals the extraordinary nature of this gift.
It really does. The disciples immediately begin speaking in different languages.
Different languages, but how?
And what's remarkable is that the diverse crowd gathered in Jerusalem, people from other nations there, for the feast, they could understand them perfectly. Each one heard the message in their own native tongue. The visitors were utterly amazed. They exclaimed, "How is it then that they are able to speak in these different languages that belong to the countries where we come from?"
Yeah, how is it?
It's a moment of immediate supernatural communication, powerfully bridging deep cultural, linguistic divides, demonstrating the universal reach of this newly empowered message.
So, following this miracle,
Peter, now imbued with this profound courage, clarity, he steps forward, delivers a powerful speech to the astonished crowd.
what does he tell them?
He clarifies that Jesus is now in heaven at the right hand of God and has poured out this promised Holy Spirit on his followers. The immediate impact is profound. About 3,000 people, deeply moved, convicted, they respond by asking, "What should we do?"
3,000. Just like that.
They're told to change your lives and be baptized, and remarkably, they become followers of Jesus on that very day. This transformative event raises an important question for us. How did this extraordinary display of divine power, this immediate miraculous understanding, as described in Bible Stories Part 7, how did it catalyze such rapid growth, the expansion of the early Christian community?
Sounds foundational.
Absolutely. A foundational moment of unity, purpose, evangelistic power. Imagine the transformative power of such an experience on that large, diverse group. Witnessing and understanding such a profound message delivered in such an undeniable way.
But the early days of this, burgeoning community, they weren't without challenges, opposition.
Not at all. Our sources tell us Peter and John, now emboldened by the Holy Spirit, performed a wonderful miracle. They raised a man from the dead.
Wow, a public display of power.
A very public display of their newfound spiritual authority, the backing they received.
But that drew attention.
It immediately drew the intense ire of the existing religious authorities, as Bible Stories Part 7 describes. They are angry.
Why angry?
Precisely because Peter and John are openly teaching people about Jesus being raised from the dead. It's a direct challenge to their earlier narrative, their established authority.
Right.
So as a result, they seize the apostles, put them into prison, trying to silence this new, rapidly growing movement.
A clear attempt to quash the message.
Exactly. Silence the messenger.
But then comes this really surprising intervention. A clear sign, according to our source, that this movement had divine backing.
Definitely. The text describes that during the night, God's angel opens the prison door.
An angel again.
Opens the door and gives a clear, unwavering instruction to the apostles. Go and stand in the temple and keep on speaking to the people.
Keep going. Don't stop.
It's an undeniable act of divine defiance, not just against human authority, but by direct divine command, showing their message couldn't be contained by stone walls or prison bars.
So when they're brought before the religious leaders again, warned sternly, don't teach about Jesus anymore, what do they say?
They give this resolute, now famous answer that, as depicted in Bible Stories Part 7, becomes a core principle for the early followers facing persecution.
What was it?
We must obey God as ruler rather than men.
Powerful.
Placing this in broader context, this unwavering commitment to a higher divine authority, even facing imprisonment, threats, potential death, it became a defining characteristic, a testament to their deep, unshakable conviction.
It really shaped the early church's ethos.
Fundamentally, consider what this bold stance demonstrates about conviction in the face of human authority. It reveals this deep-seated belief that just transcends fear and earthly power.
Okay, our sources then introduces to Stephen, described as a faithful disciple of Jesus.
Not just passive, active.
He performs wonderful miracles, bravely engages in arguments with religious leaders,
Right.
who, from their perspective, thought he was teaching false things, stirring up dissent.
Right, he was challenging them.
So when Stephen is questioned by the high priest, he doesn't back down. He doesn't get intimidated.
No, quite the opposite. Bible Stories Part 7 describes him delivering this powerful, courageous speech, directly accusing them of hating God's prophets,
Why?
being complicit in killing Jesus, ultimately disobeying God's laws.
Must have enraged them.
It provokes an intensely furious reaction. They're described as grinding their teeth in pure rage. But what's particularly compelling here is Stephen's visionary response in this moment of extreme hostility, just as their anger boils over.
What does he see?
He says, "Look, I see Jesus standing at the right side of God in heaven."
A vision right then.
A moment of profound spiritual sight, conviction, in the midst of extreme earthly danger and hostility, demonstrating his unwavering faith even as his life is threatened.
The outcome of this confrontation, it's tragic, brutal.
It is. Incensed by his words, his vision, the men put their hands over their ears, symbolically shutting out his message. Then they rush at Stephen and stone him to death. A savage act of mob violence.
Horrific.
Yeah.
And the source notes a detail about Saul.
Yes, a significant detail. A young man named Saul, who would later become the Apostle Paul, is present at this horrific event, guarding the coats of those stoning Stephen, a detail that really foreshadows his own dramatic journey to come.
And Stephen's final words?
Incredibly powerful, strikingly echoing Jesus' own words on the stake. He prays for forgiveness for his persecutors, saying, "Jehovah, do not charge them with this sin."
Amazing forgiveness.
It raises an important question. How does Stephen's example, unwavering faith, profound forgiveness, even unto death, become such a powerful precedent? A source of inspiration for the early Christian movement.
It sets a high standard.
It establishes a high standard for martyrdom,
Exactly.
demonstrating selfless love, devotion, even facing extreme hatred and injustice. It profoundly shapes the early church's understanding of enduring persecution. This moment is just a stark illustration of the ultimate cost of conviction and the profound power of forgiveness.
Okay, so as the early church expands, we start seeing this pivotal shift in its direction, moving beyond its Jewish origins.
Right, a major expansion, spearheaded by figures like Peter and later, quite dramatically, by Paul.
Our sources first introduce us to Cornelius, a non-Jew.
A Gentile, described as someone who genuinely prayed to God. This sets the stage for a really groundbreaking moment of universal acceptance.
How so?
Well, Cornelius sends men to find Peter in Joppa.
Okay.
But what's critical to understanding Peter's actions next, his shift in perspective, is his prior experience on the rooftop in Joppa.
Ah, the vision.
Exactly. Our source meticulously details a vision he received. This large cloth descending from heaven, containing all kinds of animals, some considered unclean by strict Jewish law, forbidden to eat.
Right, the dietary laws.
A divine voice instructs him, "Get up, Peter! Kill and eat."
But he refuses.
He does. Abiding by his deep-seated Jewish upbringing dietary laws, he refuses emphatically. "I have never eaten what is not clean."
Understandable, given his background.
But the voice responds with profound transformative significance. "Stop calling unclean what God now says is clean."
Wow, that's huge.
And this happens 3 times. Emphasizing the divine instruction, its critical importance in challenging Peter's preconceived notions.
And it's while Peter is still pondering this vivid vision, grappling with its revolutionary implications for his traditions, his cultural understanding,
Right, trying to figure it out.
that Cornelius's men arrive. A clear, divinely orchestrated sign of the vision's immediate, real-world relevance.
The timing is perfect. The connection couldn't be clearer.
So Peter goes to Cornelius's house.
He does. And when Peter arrives, Cornelius, overwhelmed with reverence, falls down to worship him.
Oh.
But Peter's immediate reaction is telling, shows his new understanding. "Rise, I myself am only a man. We should worship only Jehovah."
Right, pointing to God.
This humility, this clear distinction, sets the tone. Peter then preaches to the crowd gathered in Cornelius's house, and his words reveal this monumental shift for the early church.
What does he say?
"I see that God accepts all people who want to serve him."
All people.
Placing this in broader context, this is truly transformative. As depicted in Bible Stories Part 7, it's a divine declaration that God does not view people of any one race as better or more important to God than people of any other race.
Radically dismantling barriers.
Exactly. Cultural, religious barriers that had separated Jews from non-Jews. This act fundamentally opened the door for the message of Jesus to spread universally to all nations.
So this story really challenges exclusive viewpoints, promotes universal acceptance right from the early days.
Absolutely.
Okay, from this crucial moment of breaking down barriers, our sources pivot to Paul,
Ah, Paul, the powerhouse.
emphasizing his extraordinary, relentless role in spreading the good news to far-off countries. He emerges as, like, the quintessential missionary, covering vast distances, establishing new communities.
Bible Stories Part 7 specifically focuses on his second preaching trip. He's joined by Timothy, his faithful companion.
Right, Timothy.
And looking at the provided map, you can trace their incredibly extensive route. It's a real testament to their dedication.
Where do they go?
Visiting key cities that would become vital centers for the early Christian movement, places like Antioch, then Troas, Philippi, Thessalonica, Beroea, Athens, Corinth, Ephesus.
Wow, it's a huge area.
The sheer geographical breadth of this journey, done without modern transport, it's remarkable for the era, often on foot, by sea, enduring immense hardships, dangers.
It really highlights the tireless dedication, the massive scale of Paul's ministry. Our sources say he stayed a year and a half in Corinth.
Deeply investing there.
And 3 years in Ephesus, establishing, nurturing these new congregations with such care. And it wasn't just Paul. Timothy made an equally significant contribution, traveling hundreds and hundreds of miles, pouring himself into helping preach, establish these communities. The stamina, the commitment needed back then, it's almost unfathomable.
It really is. And it raises that important question. What does the sheer breadth of these journeys, done without modern conveniences, tell us about the early, rapid spread of this faith?
It must have been driven by incredible conviction.
It speaks to an incredible commitment, an urgency to share the message. Walking for weeks, months, rugged terrain, exposure, hunger, dangers, constantly talking to people in diverse cultures, establishing networks of believers. Consider the immense physical and mental stamina required. It truly puts their dedication, the challenging nature of their mission, into profound perspective.
And amidst all of Paul's tireless ministry, the sources share this specific, striking anecdote from his time in Troas.
Ah, yes, the Eutychus story.
It really brings home the extraordinary, miraculous nature of his work, the divine power with it.
It really does. This anecdote takes place while Paul is giving a very long talk to disciples, so long it continued until midnight, likely in an upper room.
Late-night teaching session.
Yeah, and a young boy named Eutychus, maybe drowsy from the hour, the warm air, the long talk, he was sitting in a window and falls asleep.
Oh, no.
And in his sleep, he tragically tumbles out of the window, falls 3 stories to the ground below.
3 stories.
The crowd is immediately distressed. He's clearly, definitively dead upon impact. A moment of just profound despair.
Paul's response, though, immediate, dramatic, unwavering.
Absolutely. He descends to the ground, lies on top of him, and hugs him.
Okay.
And then, with incredible, absolute confidence, states, "Don't worry. He's all right. It's a miracle. Paul has brought him back to life."
Just like that, he brought him back to life.
According to the source, yes, an astounding moment. Life restored unexpectedly, publicly, transforming despair into overwhelming joy, conviction.
Amazing.
And what's particularly fascinating here is the juxtaposition, right? An ordinary teaching session, probably mundane for the exhausted boy, with this extraordinary, life-restoring miracle. And even after this profound event, the source notes Paul continues talking until daylight,
He just keeps going.
demonstrating his immense dedication, the power of the message. This specific miracle, as described in Bible Stories Part 7, serves as this powerful validation of Paul's ministry, the message he was sharing. A tangible demonstration of divine backing, underscoring the spiritual authority and power at work.
Okay, our sources next bring us to a new, challenging phase in Paul's life.
Yeah.
His imprisonment in Rome.
Right, a difficult time. He's depicted as a prisoner, though maybe with some unusual privileges, guarded by a Roman soldier.
Shows the reach of the Roman Empire. Keeping an eye on this movement.
Definitely. But what's truly remarkable is that despite being a prisoner, Paul isn't silenced. He isn't rendered inactive.
He keeps working.
He's allowed visitors, and critically, as Bible Stories Part 7 details, he continues his ministry, even from chains. For 2 years, he preaches about Jesus, the kingdom of God.
Yahoo.
Not just to Jews who visited him, but also, surprisingly, to different soldiers who were part of his guard rotation.
Wow, even the guards.
The source even states that the whole household of Caesar hears about the good news, and some of them become Christians.
Right into Caesar's household.
It raises that important question. How does Paul's imprisonment, paradoxically, lead to the further, even wider spread of his message, extending it right into the heart of the Roman Empire to people who might never have otherwise heard it?
It's amazing how circumstances can be turned around.
It shows how divine purpose, as presented in this narrative, can transcend human limits, turn restrictive circumstances into unexpected opportunities for profound impact. It really exemplifies how one can find purpose, make an impact, even within the most restrictive, challenging circumstances.
And Paul's imprisonment wasn't just about verbal preaching. It was incredibly productive for his writing, too, right?
Hugely productive. Our sources specifically mention the letters to the Ephesians and Philippians, written with Timothy, penned during this time.
Foundational texts.
Absolutely. These letters, flowing from a Roman prison, would become foundational texts for Christian communities across the Roman world. And one of the most fascinating human stories behind these letters is in his letter to Philemon. Bible Stories Part 7 touches upon this.
Philemon, what's the story?
It's this intimate letter concerning Onesimus, a slave who had run away from Philemon, his master.
Okay.
While with Paul in Rome during Paul's imprisonment, Onesimus encounters the message, becomes a Christian.
Ah, a convert.
And what's truly fascinating here, a profound testament to the transformative power of this early Christian message, is Paul's intensely personal, heartfelt plea to Philemon.
What has he asked?
Paul urges Philemon to forgive and accept Onesimus back, not just as a runaway slave, but as a fine Christian brother.
As a brother. That's radical for the time.
Absolutely. Placing this in broader context, this intimate anecdote highlights the transformative power of faith on deeply ingrained societal norms, personal relationships, challenging even institutions like slavery by advocating for this new kind of brotherhood, equality, rooted in shared faith.
It shows the tangible application of these principles.
Exactly how faith could fundamentally reshape human interaction and status, even with complex social issues.
Our sources trace Paul's later activities, even after this first Roman imprisonment, visiting Christians in Rome, other places.
Tireless dedication, pastoral care for the fledgling church.
But this eventually leads to another imprisonment in Rome. And this time, there's a sense of finality, isn't there?
Yes, it seems he knows his death is imminent. In this final phase, Bible Stories Part 7 quotes Paul's powerful declaration from his letter to even Timothy. I have been faithful to God, and God will reward me.
A summation of his life.
A concise, potent summation of his entire life's dedication. His unwavering faith, even facing death, speaks to a deep conviction in ultimate justice, divine recognition. The source also notes a significant historical detail. Jerusalem is destroyed again, this time by the Romans, a few years after Paul's death.
Right, connecting it to broader history.
It provides a clear temporal anchor, linking these narratives to wider historical events, and serves as a powerful echo of earlier prophecies foretelling the city's destruction.
So this final phase of Paul's life, it's a testament to unwavering commitment, the hope of reward, even facing mortality.
Exactly. As presented in our source, it's about enduring faith to the very end.
Okay, now we shift our focus a bit from the vivid historical narratives we've explored.
Right, the past events.
To the prophetic elements found within these sources, casting a gaze far into the future, offering a vision of what's to come.
Bible Stories Part 7 makes a pretty compelling assertion about the Bible's unique nature, its claim to divine origin.
What's the claim?
It explicitly states the Bible not only gives the true story of what happened in the past, but also tells what will happen in the future.
Past and future.
And this predictive power is presented as key evidence, leading directly to the conclusion that the Bible is from God.
So, foretelling the future proves divine origin.
That's the assertion here. What's striking is this claim that the ability to foretell future events accurately is a hallmark, a definitive sign of divine origin, distinguishing it fundamentally from merely human writings or historical accounts.
Interesting claim.
As you consider this, how does this asserted ability to foretell the future impact your perception of a historical text, its potential broader significance beyond just human wisdom?
This predictive power, as presented in our source, leads us to a concept many have heard of, but maybe not quite like this. Armageddon.
Right, a term that often evokes images of just chaotic destruction.
Yeah, fire and brimstone, maybe.
But the sources here define Armageddon differently, not as chaotic, indiscriminate destruction, but rather as a great war of God.
A war of God.
And what's crucial is the clear hierarchy, the divine purpose involved. Jesus is the one who will take the lead in fighting this war.
Jesus leads the war.
Having been chosen by Jehovah, that specific divine name again, to be king of his government. And the explicit purpose of this war, as outlined in Bible Stories Part 7, is to destroy all badness on earth.
To destroy badness.
It raises an important question for reflection. How does this description of a divine war, meticulously led, singularly purposed to eradicate badness and wickedness, compare to the complex, often ambiguous, destructive nature of human conflicts we see?
It frames divine intervention with a clear moral imperative.
Exactly.
As you consider this profound future event, Armageddon, what particularly stands out about how it's portrayed in these sources? It seems connected to other events.
That's a crucial observation.
Yeah.
Because the source indeed frames Armageddon not as some arbitrary act, but by connecting it directly to historical patterns of divine intervention against badness on earth.
Like what?
It specifically references Noah's flood, where widespread wickedness was destroyed, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah by fire, the destruction of the Egyptians at the Red Sea, liberating the Israelites, and even the Israelites' own destruction due to their badness when they turned away from God.
So, precedents.
These historical accounts serve as clear precedents, illustrating a consistent divine pattern of intervention when wickedness reaches a certain tipping point. Therefore, the source concludes, we should not be surprised that Jehovah will send his heavenly armies to put an end to all badness on earth.
It provides a framework.
These parallels provide a consistent framework for understanding the scale, the purpose, and the divine nature of Armageddon as described in Bible Stories Part 7.
Okay, so this brings us to the ultimate outcome. The magnificent promise that follows this described war. A profound vision of renewal, peace, restoration.
The sources detail a profoundly hopeful future emerging from this divine intervention. God will clean the earth of all badness and bad people and will protect those who serve him.
Protection for the faithful.
The promise is that God's chosen king, Jesus Christ, will ensure peace and happiness for his faithful servants, where they will never get sick again or die.
No sickness, no death.
And this future is explicitly linked back to that new paradise on earth mentioned earlier.
Right, Jesus' promise to the criminal.
The text reiterates the idea that God will make a new paradise on earth and specifically will bring this man back to life to enjoy the new paradise on earth.
And what's particularly compelling about this prophecy, as highlighted in Bible Stories Part 7, is that clear emphasis on the earth itself being transformed.
Right. It's not an exodus from the earth to some distant realm,
but a restoration of it. The vision is for humanity to live eternally on a perfected planet.
Precisely. The core emphasis is that this is a future for the earth itself, a complete, beautiful restoration of paradise right here on this planet, not an exodus to a heavenly realm for humanity. This raises that final question. What vision of hope and future living does this particular prophecy offer? Where sickness, death, suffering are eradicated and humanity lives in peace and happiness on a restored earth.
It's a distinct vision.
This specific vision of a restored earth, free from suffering, offers a distinctive and powerful long-term perspective on future hope and humanity's destiny, at least as presented in Bible Stories Part 7.
Wow. What an incredible journey we've taken today through these excerpts from Bible Stories Part 7.
It really has been quite the dive.
We've moved through this dramatic narrative arc, right? Starting with Jesus' final moments, betrayal, trial, through his miraculous resurrection, the appearances, witnessed the dynamic spread of the early church, the power of the Holy Spirit, the courageous ministry of Peter, Paul.
Right, the expansion.
And ultimately looked into these profound prophecies for the future, culminating in this vivid vision of a new paradise on earth.
It truly has been a deep dive into remarkable detail, the profound interconnectedness of these events as presented in this source. From the intensely personal struggles and triumphs to the sweeping global implications of a nascent faith, Bible Stories Part 7 collectively paints this comprehensive picture. A transformative period in human history and a clearly articulated promised future, all within its unique interpretative framework.
So considering the delicate balance of intense human experience and powerful divine intervention detailed in these sources, what aspect of this deep dive most compels you listening to think about the nature of faith, history, and the future.
It's a vast tapestry, isn't it? So much to consider.
It really is. We hope this deep dive has given you a fresh perspective and maybe spurred your own curiosity. Join us next time on the deep dive as we continue to explore the most fascinating insights from the sources you share with us.
Until then, keep digging into knowledge and understanding.